So hi guys, I'm sorry. So hi guys, welcome to the channel Learn Concepts with Nikhil. Sorry. Uh, Discover, learn and grow. So in this video, we will be learning about mastering stakeholder management as business analyst. Right. In the previous video, we have learned about stakeholders in detail. Right. In this video, we will be learning about mastering stakeholder management as a BA. So first things first, first identifying stakeholders, we will be using a chart called RACI chart. RACI chart is a project management tool which is also used for business analysis for identifying the stakeholders that defines roles and responsibles for task and decision making by stakeholders as responsible, accountable, consultant, and informed. It helps clarifying ownership, improve communication, and ensure accountability in projects. Forget this theory, guys. RACI matrix is used to identify the stakeholders based upon their responsibility, based upon their accountability, based upon their consultant, based upon who should be and who need to be consulted and who needs to be informed, right? So R stands for responsibility, like which who are the stakeholders who are responsible for doing particular work. That is nothing but who does the work. Accountable. Research chart also research chart also helps us in finding the person or finding the group who are accountable for the particular task or for the particular role, for the particular task or for the particular problem. Responsible and accountable is not same. Responsible is a person who is implementing the task, who is doing the task. Accountable is the someone who will be making that responsible person to do the task, right? Next is consultant. Consultant is nothing but who needs to be consultant before making the task, before doing the task, right? If I have any doubts, whom I should consult. And informed is one like for whom I should need to inform ki I am doing this work करके for whom I should need to inform. So let's go into some practical example. For example, let's check a research practical example. Task is writing a copy. Write a copy is nothing but write a copy is nothing but a task. So we have to C stands for consultants, right? R stands for responsible, A stands for accountable, stands for consultant, I stands for informed. So designer is consulted before writing a copy. Why? Because designer makes the things right. Like it's called as a informative designer. Like he knows where to put what decision, where to put what type of description karke. So he needs to be consulted before writing a copy. Front end engineer needs to be informed. Why? Because he needs to code, right? He needs to make that task. He needs to make that particular description appear on the screen. So he needs to be informed. Product marketer is accountable. Why? Because he needs to make that design market, right? Like he needs to do marketing based upon the description. So he is accountable for writing the perfect description. Head of brand is consulted as well as project manager is also consulted, and content writer is a responsible. Actually, I have not written content writer, but content writer is responsible. Now design a wireframe. Wireframe is nothing but it's a black and white. It's a low fidelity mock-up type. It's a black and white type of how a app or how a screen looks like. So designer will be designing the wireframe. So he is responsible. Front-end developer, front-end engineer should be consulted. Why? Because he can give some inputs, right? But because he is only developing the particular screen, so he can give some inputs. So front end engineer should be consulted, product managers also should be consulted, head of brand is accountable, and product manager is consulted, right? You understood the use case, right? Who is the consultant, who is the responsible, who needs to be informed. Let's come to third example, where designer is consulted while building the home page, and front end engineer will be building the home page, so he is responsible. product manager needs to be informed, head of brand needs to be informed, and product manager, project manager is responsible. So in this way, you can identify and you can manage your stakeholders, right? So RACI chart is used for that purpose to identify your stakeholders. Next is active and clear communication in stakeholder management. RACI chart is used for stakeholder for the identification of stakeholders, right? In this step, this is not the step. These are some uh, tools and techniques. We can call it as techniques for effective stakeholder management. So, active and clear communication in stakeholder management. Active communication is nothing but engaging stakeholders through two-way interactions, ensuring feedback is received and addressed. So, in active communication, क्या होगा कि you will be making stakeholder talk. You will also talk and make. You will be asking questions. He will be answering the answers. He will be answering the questions, right? So you will be you will be making and engaging stakeholders through two way, so that you can give the feedback. You can after building the project, you can show the project, you can show the project or you can show the software, and he can give the feedback, right? Active communication is used for that purpose, and please make sure you have an active communication with the stakeholder. Why? Because like it helps in receiving feedback and addressing the feedback. For example, have regular communications, regular meetings, right? Have regular meetings with the stakeholders, have Q&A sessions with the stakeholders, and real-time discussions with the stakeholders. Clear communication is nothing but like convey the information. Like if you want to convey the information to him, build a presentation and show to him. It will be clear, right? Instead of saying your thoughts, build a presentation and build some analytics and with some diagrams, with some stunning images. If you show to him, if you show that presentation to him, it will be more clear to him. He can understand the analytics instead of keeping the discussions. So convey the information in a concise, transparent, and structured way to avoid misunderstandings, right? Right. So if you present a presentation PPT to stakeholder and if you present a presentation to stakeholder and communicated with him, it will be like structured. There will be no scope for misunderstandings. Everything will be crystal clear. Yeah, everything will be crystal clear, and he will be understanding what we are trying to communicate. Example, use simple language, stakeholder reports, visual. 1 minute, guys. I need to keep my charging. So yeah, using simple language, structured reports, visual aids like charts. For example, as a business analyst, you need to talk with the business people in business language only, and you need to talk with technical people in technical language only. As I said, technical language doesn't mean you need to explicitly know coding, right? Actually, there is a thing called the UML diagrams, BPMN diagrams, and all these diagrams. You can communicate with the technical people in UML diagrams, BRDs, FRDs, and all these things. And with the business people, you can talk with them in the business language, like asking question and answers, regular meetings, using some terminology and technical words related to business language and all. So in this way, you have to engage your stakeholders. You have to manage your stakeholders with the active communication as well as clear communication. And benefit of this active and clear communication step is it builds the trust among the it builds the trust among your stakeholders. Aligns expectations as per the project goals only. The project is running करके like it will be aligns the expectations and enhances collaborations and project success. Next is conflict management in stakeholder management. The conflict management also plays a very key role, guys. Even HR uses conflict management. For example, you have given a requirement to your development team. They have built the project. They have built the requirement as per you. Like you have gave the requirement, right? And they have built the development team has built the future or user story. After building the software or future, it will be going into testing phase, right? In testing phase, there is some mistake. Testing team will be saying that uh, you did not be, testing team will be saying development team ki you did not build the project or the future according to the requirement given by the business analyst. And team will be saying ki you did not understand development team will be saying to test team ki you did not understand the requirement properly. I have to build perfectly karke. So there will be a conflict between testing team as well as development team, right? It's just an example, guys. There will not be conflict much, but yeah, it's just an example. So you have to understand the conflict here. Like you have to act as a mediator. You have to act as an not facilitator, but you have to act as a mediator. You have to know what is the root cause for the conflict, right? The root cause for the conflict is they both did not understand the requirement clearly. So conduct a workshop with them, make them understand the requirement clearly, right? But you need to do the conflict management in these type of situations. So let's go to the slide. Identify the conflict. Recognize the issues early through active listening and observation. Okay, you have to recognize the conflict of as I said you before, development team will be saying ki you did not understand the requirement, and testing team will be saying ki you did not develop the product or future related or according to the requirement. And as a business analyst, you need to be a mediator. So you need to identify the conflict, understand the stakeholder perspectives. Like developer team will be having some perspectives, and design team will be design team not testing team will be having some test perspective, and you have to understand those both people's perspective, and you have to understand the root cause. Here the root cause is requirement. They both did not understand the requirement clearly, so conduct a workshop. As simple as that. Ensure open communication. It's nothing but openly communicate with them, saying clearly about the requirement. Use negotiation and mediation. As I said you before, it's just one of the example, guys. There is many use cases of conflict management, right? So document agreements and monitor and follow up karo your testing team and your development team ko. You need to follow up whether they are building the right product according to the requirements or not karke. So it's just yeah. It's just you have to act as a mediator, and you have to reduce the conflict between teams. Not only about internal stakeholders, but external. There will be a conflict between external stakeholders too. But it's your responsibility to manage conflicts between all of them and between all of them, and make sure the project or the product is success. Prioritize requirements with stakeholders. Okay, you will be prioritizing the requirements with the help of stakeholders. For example, if you're building a app, like for example, let's say you're building a software or an app, right? Design team will be saying ki build this future, it will be attracting more customers. Development team will be saying ki no, I want to build this future. Why? Because it takes less time for me to build karke. So we have to prioritize, right? We have to prioritize by sitting with the stakeholders and taking their inputs. So we have to gather the requirements like based upon design team requirements, based upon stakeholder requirements, and we will be following some prioritization techniques so that yeah, we can do effective stakeholder management, and as well as we can build the best product. For example, there will be a prioritization techniques like a Moscow value versus matrix weighted scoring and all. I will be discussing about all these prioritization techniques in the future videos. But in the present video, I'll give an overview. Moscow is nothing but you will be prioritizing the futures. There may be 10 to 12 futures, but you cannot build 10 to 12 futures in one particular sprint. Max to max, you can build 3 to 4 futures or 3 to 4 user stories in a particular sprint. So you will be implementing, or you will be employing the prioritization techniques. Like must have is nothing but it should be must. Like it is a core. What you can say, it is the core future or core user story of the product. Next, it should. Next point is should have. Should have is nothing but It should be there, but it is not must. Must is the core value, core product, core future. Should means it should have. Could means it can or it cannot have. It is basically used to delight the customers for their desirability. It is optional, won't have in the sense फर्क नहीं पड़ता, like not a mandatory one, right? Next is value and effort matrix. Value and effort matrix is like you will be building a high value future or user story which also requires a less effort, right? Yeah, you will be prioritizing in that manner also. And weighted scoring, assign scores based on a business impact, that is nothing but a rice technique, RICE, reach impact, confidence and effort, right? So based on rice techniques also we will be prioritizing the future or tasks, but we will be discussing about all these few prioritization futures and prioritization techniques in the future videos when we are learning about prioritization techniques. So we need to prioritize we need to prioritize with the stakeholders so that we can do effective stakeholder management as well as we can build the best product or project. Continuous stakeholder management, right? You have to do continuous stakeholder management. It's not that once you have taken the requirements and it's end of the project. It's not like that. You have to do continuous stakeholder management. You have to gather requirements continuously. Why? Because we are following agile methodology, right? Every software company follows agile methodology, Scrum basically. So we are following agile methodology, right? Iterative process and iterative system. So we need to do continuous stakeholder management. We need to talk with developer continuously. We need to talk with the design team continuously. We need to talk with the clients continuously in order to gather more and more requirements. But because we are doing iterative processes, right? So that is the reason why we need to do continuous stakeholder management. First is regular communication. As I said you before, we need to do continuous communication with the stakeholders. Feedback collection. We need to collect the feedback from the customers as well as clients so that we can improve our product. We can improve our product more and more in the next versions or in the next sprints. Next is adapted to changes. Client will be saying some changes based upon the previous version, and we have to make those changes, right? Next is monitor engagement. We have to monitor how the progress. We have to monitor the progress, how the developers and design team and how my stakeholders are working. करके internal stakeholders holders are working. करके build a long term relationship. You have to maintain long term relationship with the internal developers as well as internal stakeholders as well as external stakeholders so that it can be easy for you to make work with them, to make or to implement work with them. So this is about continuous stakeholder management, and this is the last slide. Leverage emotional intelligence in stakeholder management. These are the best techniques, right? These are the best techniques and tricks so that you can do effective stakeholder management. You can master in effective stakeholder management as a BA, business analyst, right? So leverage emotional intelligence in stakeholder management. A definition: using self-awareness, empathy, and interpersonal skills to build strong stakeholder relationships and manage interactions effectively. Sometimes you have to employ your emotional intelligence to not only go with you not only go with rules and rule based something, those all, not only go with rules and all, but you have to sometimes employ emotional intelligence to, like empathy, self-awareness, sympathy, interpersonal skills, to build a effective communication with the stakeholders and build the trust and also relationships. Key aspects of emotional intelligence are self-awareness, like recognize your emotions and their impact on stakeholder interactions. If you are what you can say, if you have anger issues, you have to do self-awareness and you have to talk with the stakeholders in a smooth way, in a patience way. Like you have to be more patient, right? He may make you angry too, but you have to understand your emotions and you have to act according to the as per the situation. So as a business analyst, it being patient is one of the most underrated skill. So you have to do self awareness, self retrospective on your inner emotions, and you have to make the things smooth for stakeholder management. Next is empathy. You have to understand the stakeholders' perspective. You have to step into the stakeholders' shoes and think from the perspective of the stakeholders. So you have to build empathy too as a business analyst. I'm saying all this from the perspective of the business analyst only. If I didn't mention also, understand that it's from the perspective of a business analyst. Next is active listening. We have learned about it, right? Active communication and active listening. You have to listen to the stakeholders more and more and for getting more and more requirements. Like you have to understand, like you have to understand and you have to listen to more stakeholders, not only clients but also customers. You have to go to customers. You have to implement some implement or employ some tools like surveys, open-ended questions, closed-ended questions, so that you can understand more and more requirements when they are saying. So active listening is also one of the key underrated skill of the business analyst. Next is adaptability. You have to be adaptable. You have to be flexible for the changes. You have to adopt the change, right? Next, conflict resolution. You need to do conflict resolution. I gave the example of a developer and tester, right? So you need to do conflict resolution and building trust. You need to build the trust. You can only build trust with the help of effective active clear communication as well as patience active listening. So this is all about stakeholder management, guys. Stakeholder management and the effective techniques and tricks for the effective stakeholder management. In the next video, we will be learning some more about business analysis. Bye.